Oh, it's real good. Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome to another video. And I guess you don't even need to watch the rest of this because I already told you what I thought. But I just got done watching the first episode of The Last of Us, of course, the HBO TV show adaptation of the classic video game. That, by the way, this June, it would have been 10 years since it came out. I know, we're all old. If you played that day one like I did, we're all old. Welcome. So, unless you were literally 1 year old at the time, then you're not old. Also, that's weird. If you were 12, if you were 2 years old, then that's okay. I'd let my 2-year-old play Last of Us and get them started early. One, that's a little too young. Anyway, so this is jokes. Anyway, so I was very excited for this show. I thought the trailers were really good. I was skeptical though. I was worried and skeptical. Not just because of video game adaptations not being great, even though they have been very good recently. But they've been very bad for way longer than they've been very good. Just because it's one of the best video games, at least one of the best video game stories, and some of the best video game characters, and some of the best characters, period, out there. So it's like one of those things. Like, yeah, I'm not that hesitant about like if they do say like a cyberpunk anime. That probably work, and guess what? It did. Or even like Arcane. Like I never played League of Legends, but I was always like, you know what? Every time I watch a CG cutscene for League of Legends, I'm like, turn this into a show, and they finally did it. I'm still waiting for Overwatch, but this I was way more hesitant about. Like they could screw things up, they can make it just not as impactful. And The Last of Us, I feel like, is a game that works amazingly well as a video game, but I could see it working as a show. As a movie, unless it's like multiple movies, I don't see it working really. So I think a show is the best approach. And I gotta say, this is a review for the first episode. I'm not cool. I don't get like all the episodes or whatever. I don't even get the first two or three. I only get the first one because that's what's out right now. There's some people out there that are way cooler than me that get the full show. Whatever. So there you know, like the rest is really good, at least from what I keep reading from reviews. But I thought the first episode was great. They of course take drastic changes, but in the long run, it seems like it's probably gonna go exactly where it goes. Like there might be changes to characters, there might be changes to actions that characters take. But it looks like it's all gonna lead to the same place. So while it is faithful, it is also diverging in ways that is actually kind of fun, at least for the first episode. And me saying anything in The Last of Us is fun. I mean, there's fun elements in The Last of Us, but it's whatever. But yeah, so they do that in this, and there's gonna be some spoilers for the episode, but there are also gonna be some spoilers for the game. So if you don't want any game spoilers, just in case you watch this for the first time, you never played the game, and you're like, oh, I want to play the game now, or you just don't want any spoilers for the rest of the show, I should, in my reaction, really label it like game spoilers, because I was dropping little game spoilers here and there. You should really play the game. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna try not to spoil too much here. So, but they might come out here and there. But yeah. So the episode starts off. I'm not gonna go through the entire episode, almost 90 minutes of it. I'm just gonna tell you, it starts off, and immediately I was like, whoa, oh, okay, this is definitely very different. It starts off with like a television interview about like, pandemics and like fungus outbreaks and all these other things and stuff, and you're like, yeah, yeah. And John Hannah's talking to the camera, who's funny enough, it was a good year. I mean, it was a good day for The Mummy, because we had John Hannah, who was the comedic guy in The Mummy, and yeah, Brendan Fraser, who just won an award for The Whale, so shout outs. So it's a good day for The Mummy, but I didn't want to spoil it. I was going to tweet that on Twitter, but I didn't want to spoil it just in case. But we're in a review, and I already said there's going to be some spoilers, so I'm okay with it. Not that that's a big spoiler, but the entire time I was like, is that John Hannah? I want to say it is, but I haven't seen him in like 10 years since like Spartacus, so I don't really want to say it, but it was. Anyway, and it starts off immediately with that, and it's set in 1963, so it's way before the beginning of the show, the actual beginning of the show, which is set in 2003, with, of course, Joel Miller and his daughter Sarah, and all that, everything that happens there, of course, and it goes way more in depth. Like, you see Sarah doing her daily routine, I guess. She goes on a bus, she goes here, goes there, meets with the neighbors and stuff, so you see way more of that, like, where in The Last of Us, you don't really get a sense of, like what their daily life is. Here you do way more. In the game, I think it works very well. Like first 15, 20 minutes, I think it's perfect for the video game. In the show, I totally understand why they wanted to deepen that a little bit, and it works here. So it's not, as long as it works, I'm okay with it. And here it definitely works. So thought that was really good. The scene involving Joel and Sarah about, 20 some minutes into the game and about 30 minutes into the show was very well done. I knew it was coming, obviously, and I was expecting it to not really affect me too much because I've seen it so many times at this point. And it was definitely different, and I give huge credit to Nico Parker, who I didn't realize. I looked her up because I was like, what else has she been in? Because she's really good in this. She was in that Dumbo movie, which I thought she was terrible in, by the way. But that was also a not very good movie, so that's not her fault. She was great in this, though. She nailed it. When what was happening, I guess I could just say, when she got shot and she was like flailing around, I thought that was really fucking good. And the show does a good job of making you care for her immediately. Maybe not as effectively as the game. The game, there's something about that relationship. Maybe it's because it was so subtle, more so than this. Here it's like a little like, oh, I'm making breakfast and I'm doing that. But the little ties to the game too, like the watch. Like she gives him a watch, which in the game, some people would argue like, it doesn't make any sense. How she buy like a watch that probably costs like at least $100 or something, because it's a nice little watch. Here it actually makes sense because she's actually fixing an old watch, and she goes to a thing and like steals money from him. So they wanted to fix certain things like that didn't really need to be fixed, but it was fine. Again, it didn't take me out of experience, so it's fine. It really didn't need to be fixed. It could have easily been something that doesn't need to be explained, but they explain it here, and it's fine. And in the sense of a television show here, it's okay. And it sets up a good relationship between Sarah and Joel immediately. And of course, everything happened. I'm just straight up say right here, I think Pedro Pascal is great. I think he does a great job of showing the differences between Joel in the beginning of the show and Joel in the last half of this episode, because it does skip 20 years. That actually surprised me, because Joel even says he's 36 in the beginning of this, and I thought maybe, because I want to say in the game, is he supposed to be like 32 or something like that, and it is 20 years later, so him being 52, but in that game, especially the remake, they make him look much older. Here, like Pedro Pascal, I think is like 46, 7, but he's supposed to be 56 in here, and they do spray paint his hair gray, which I didn't want to say it in the reaction because I knew people get pissed off. But I did think some of that looked a little not great. It did, like, there was like shots of like the light going through his hair, and you could tell it was like spray painted like gray. It didn't look the best, but for the most part, he definitely looks like Joel. I'm not saying he doesn't, but he's great. He's great is what I'm trying to say. He did a great job of showing the differences between younger Joel and older Joel. And I think he's great so far. I always thought he was going to be great in it. And so far he is. I got to give major credit. We're going to skip to the last half of the show where it does the stuff you expect from the beginning of Last of Us. The whole Robert stuff, and they change a lot of that stuff, which I don't need to get too much into. But for the most part, it all leads up to the same thing. They have to go and smuggle Ellie, of course. Marlene tasks them to do it. By the way, Merle Dendridge, I think that's her name. I should have looked her name up. Merle, maybe it's whatever. She's great. She was great in the original game. She was great in this. She's great. And she's great. I really like her. But yeah, she's great. And she's actually a little bit more comedic in this too. There was actually a couple lines she said that was like, wow, it was really funny. There's a couple of good lines in this that made me laugh. So I'll give it credit. It's not like it's a super funny show. It's not supposed to be. It's not comedy. But a couple times I was like, huh, that was actually good. Yeah, Ellie, Bella Ramsey, really good. I really like her. Her dynamic with some of the other characters, mainly the Firefly stuff in the last half of the show, really great. I also really appreciate that they didn't really hold back immediately. Like, there are a lot of grim things, not just Sarah getting killed. There immediately after that, something really grim and very fucked up happens literally right after that, and it's really funny. Like, I was actually thinking about that more than the Sarah thing. Yeah, I gotta give them credit. But immediately, first time you see Ellie, she's chained up. They're like, what? Like, because they found out that she can't be affected. Immediately she sold that character. I thought she did a great job of being Ellie. And it's not just because she's yelling "fuck you" and stuff, but she felt like Ellie. There's a moment later where she breaks a code, is all I'll say. You know what I'm talking about. And I was just like, yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. I like that addition there. The writing is solid. The acting is fucking great so far. The characters feel like the characters from the game. Tess is great too. Anna Torv is awesome. She's great. She feels like Tess, maybe a little bit more reserved. Like, I feel like Tess was way more badass in the game. Like, shit, you have that whole Robert section. Here, they don't really have one yet. They might be saving something really badass for her later. She has that badass moment with Robert, where, like, Joel is just pretty much like the bodyguard, really. He's just there to rough him up a little bit, and she fucking just... you don't really have that here, the whole Robert thing. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed. Kind of wanted to see, you know... I even made a joke like, oh, we have to get that right. Everything else we could screw around with in the adaptation. We got to get the Robert death scene right. And they didn't get it right, sadly. I'm sorry. So 0 out of 10, bad show. I don't know. I'd rather watch Velma. I'm just kidding. No, I'd rather dip my fucking entire head in acid. Even though I am going to watch the next episode of Velma. So yeah, I mean, it's been a weird week for HBO Max, that's for sure. Had a really good show, and then they had Last of Us. Stinky. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, yeah. So I really enjoyed it. I don't have much else to say. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, the whole Tommy stuff is interesting because I think they're still doing the whole Tommy and the Firefly stuff, but it seems like they're going a different direction, maybe a little bit with. Because I maybe I'm wrong, but I remember in The Last of Us, Tommy was always, like, it's been a long time since Tommy and Joel saw each other, and he was a part of the Fireflies at one point, but he left the Fireflies for a little while, for a long time, and he went on his own. Here, Tommy, I think, is still part of the Fireflies, so we'll see what's going on. Maybe I got some wires crossed there, so we'll see what's going on there. That's one change where I'm like, We'll see where it's going, because I like all that Tommy stuff. Tommy's not in the original game a lot. He's in part 2 way more, I think. But yeah. Yeah, I'm very excited to see the future. They actually have a preview at the end showing what to expect in the rest of the season. And it wasn't too spoiler heavy, I don't think, but it definitely they have a lot. There's a lot coming up. So I'm excited. I think the premiere was great. The infected look really good. We didn't really see too much when it comes to clickers. We do see at one point like a dead clicker on the wall though, which is cool. And also, I should bring up the one big change is the tendrils, the cordyceps. I think, are they still cordyceps, or are they just? I think they're still cordyceps. No, cordyceps are supposed to be spores though, right? Well, the cordyceps are different. They're tendrils now. Which when I heard that immediately, I was thinking venom, but it's not that. It actually, the one and only time you really see the tendrils, it actually legitimately was creepy. Like, it was legit terrifying looking. So I gotta give them credit. Like, it might be a good change. We'll see. Like, it's not really a big deal. Like, in the game it is, because in moments you have to put the mask on and stuff. But it might not really matter in the long run when it comes to the show. Actually, no, it'd probably matter more in the show, right? No, in the game, I guess there's no gameplay element really where you have to worry about the spores. We'll see. I like the tendrils though so far. I thought they were actually really creepy looking when coming out of that old lady's mouth. I was like, oh, that was actually a spooky little image. And I guess I gotta give it credit. There's actually a couple of moments that actually legit, like, there's a couple of jump scares, but there's a couple of really creepy moments. Same old lady earlier in that episode did some creepy shit in the background. Yeah. It was good. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It's good. So anyway, there you go. That's it. That's my review, for The Last of Us HBO first episode. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you. Till next time. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.